Thank you. We're going to take a moment here before the meeting just to welcome Catherine Turner to the Secretary's position for the Board of Public Works and Safety. We will miss Renee. This is going to be her last in-person meeting, but I'm sure she'll be in the wings. We really appreciate your service all these years as being our secretary as the Board of Public Works and Safety. And finally, thank you to soon-to-be former city attorney Ashley Hopper for all your legal expertise for all these many years. We wish you the best. So with that, I will welcome our Zoom meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety, Thursday, February 25th, convening now at probably 5:01. Before we call the meeting to order, Renee, please provide information you need to disseminate for the board and the public concerning today's meeting.
Due to the governor's orders on COVID restrictions, the public may participate remotely by dialing 1-312-626-6799 and entering the following participation code, 854-9771-5156#. If you would like to provide comments remotely, you can email them to rrafala@cityoflawrence.org.
Thank you. We will now call the meeting officially to order and let the record reflect we have a quorum to do business for the City of Lawrence today. First item, minutes of the February 11th meeting. And as always, is there any corrections or deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve.
By Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Browner. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by a roll call vote, Renee, we will take that.
Doug Reeser.
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner.
Aye.
Mark Clark.
Aye.
And the minutes are approved 3-0. Thank you. No unfinished business before the board today, so we'll go directly to our new business. And we did have some late agenda items, but.
Doug,
yes.
I'm sorry, we do have unfinished business on the agenda.
Oh, I missed that. Yep. Oh, that's right. The update concerning our last meeting at the end of our meeting with the citizens' comment on the 9045 East 59th Street issue with Burns Development. Do we have an update on that? Or
Yeah, board. This is Shri. Can you guys hear me?
yes, Sheree. Thank you.
Hey,
You have the floor.
So we did send a letter out and gave him until February 12th to remove his trailers that were parked in the city's right-of-way, as well as some pallets of brick. So by February 12th, all those were removed by him or his whoever was storing the trailers. It was all removed. So then there is still outstanding issues that are zoning violations. We did put an we did talk to the mayor's action center with Indianapolis. We did put a report in there, and they have assigned an inspector to inspect it. I don't think they have inspected it yet. And we have also started accumulating, he has also started accumulating fines. We per our ordinance, we can start fining him for some of those violations. So we have already started doing that. As far as I can see, he has not fixed any of those zoning violations yet. So we are continuing to monitor that, and we are continuing to work with Indianapolis to take care of that.
Okay.
Hey, Shri, can you explain again why we have to work through Indianapolis?
Indianapolis control our zoning pretty much. So we don't have the authority to implement any kind of zoning violations. All we can do is, all of the excluded cities, the zoning is controlled by the Department of Metropolitan Development, and they have. So that's why a lot of our rezoning and everything goes through DMD. So they have the authority to actually do some action. We don't have that authority.
But we have a zoning board. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah, I think if just to add to that, I think if you look at some of the Senate bills that are going into the in the State House now, one of the bills is for us to start our own zoning, which has ever since been changed. So even though we have our zoning appeals board, most of our rezoning and everything has to go to Indianapolis DMD and the BC and their zoning board. So it's confusing, and that's how the state law is now. We are trying to change that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Other questions for Sri? Since this is kind of still an ongoing matter, I wouldn't mind if the board would concur that we may have this as an unfinished business item at the next meeting and see where we are with a report, if you don't mind, Sri, again, just so we are abreast, and the community as well. So we'll ask to do that, and we'll just see if we can keep this ongoing until we get it resolved. So thank you for that information today. With that, I'll move then on to new business. I apologize missing that item. Item A is approval for the Lawrence Police Department perimeter fence addition. And we certainly got a lot of information on that. Are there questions or comments by the board?
I had a question. We had proposals. Did we pick one in particular? Can I get some information on that?
Yes, ma'am. This is Chief Hoffman. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Right.
Okay, great. We received 3 estimates for this fence addition from the companies Imperial Fence, K&K Fence, and Capital City Fence. K&K and Capital City were nearly identical. Imperial came in way less, which was a little bit of a red flag for me, and they had some discrepancies in their estimate. So it was my recommendation that we go with Capital City Fence. Their updated estimate was $27,500, and it sounds like a lot, and it is. But I've been seeking approval for this fence for some time. I think it's going to be essential for the facility security aspect of our new police station. I will say, without going in depth into a whole big diatribe of the rationale for it, when we designed our police station in 2016, the idea was to maintain as much as possible an open, inviting, friendly atmosphere where the community is welcome and invited to come into our building at any time. We even have a 112-seat community room right inside the front doors that is available for any group: business, school, church, Little League, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever you can think of. And none of that has changed. Our building is still very much a community building, but what has changed is our society. And I and my command staff and many members of this organization believe anything we can do to target harden the front part of our building, which is largely made up of glass, should we find ourselves in the crosshairs of protesters or worse, those who wish to do us harm. So the idea for the front perimeter fence is to add really just a barrier that is 99.999% of the time going to be wide open. So the gates will be open, the vehicle gates will be open. We've asked for, or I have asked for, a construction of a fence that is identical to the type of fencing we have around the back of the property, with the exception of the gates to allow people to come in and out, which again will always remain open unless and until we identify that there could be a threat coming our way. And what this will do is it'll allow us, in the event of somebody wishing us harm, we can slide those gates closed, we can secure the front of our property, we can allow peaceful protest, peaceful travel along the public sidewalk, which will be open to the public. The fence will not impede anything with the sidewalk, yet it will allow us to maintain a little bit of facility security. In the absence of this fence, we anticipate we could easily have a group, a violent group of citizens or people wishing us harm that could stand in our parking lot, and we would have absolutely very, very little control over such a potentially angry, upset, potentially violent group of people. With the fence, we could at least push. I say we could control the front side of our property along Post Road. So I sought the three estimates. I had three companies come out, measure it off. My directive to all three was that I would like something in keeping with what we have, so that we do not lose any of the design aspects of our building. And the last thing I wanted was for anybody driving by to see this as some kind of a fortress or some kind of a law enforcement compound, because that's not the feel that we want, and it's not the feel we're going to strive for. So when I looked at the three proposals, Capital City Fence was the one I felt like was the closest. And I'll kind of wrap up by saying Capital City, they were the vendor that was selected by our construction management company. So they were actually in charge of the rear perimeter fence. And I will say they have been awesome to work with, and they will use identical materials from the same vendors that they used for the back side of the property. So it won't look like, our fence out front will not look like an afterthought. And I look forward to quality materials installed by responsive people who will come out and fix things, as we have had happen with our rear fence. So we're paying a little bit more than our lowest bidder, but I think in the long run, that's going to serve us the best. And I think that's probably one of the big things. Why are we not going with the lowest bidder? It has to do with quality, workmanship, and a proven track record of their service. So I don't know, that's probably more than you wanted to know, but that's kind of why we're seeking a fence and how we came to the conclusion of selecting Capital City.
I realize that an electronic fence would be very expensive, but did you pursue that compared to a manual?
As far as the gates concerned?
Yes, on the closing, opening and closing.
Yeah, so because it is our expectation that this fence will, even day and night during peaceful times, the gates will remain open. Sure. So we have two entrances, or really we have two ways that vehicles can get onto our property. The main entrance is a 2-lane entrance. It's on the southern side of our Post Road property, and we wanted to avoid electronic gates because we're just not using them very often. And in the event that we need to close them quickly, we want to be able to do that. And the best way to do that is just to keep the lowest amount of technology involved in it. So these gates will slide. They're sliding gates that will be on wheels that we'll be able to quickly close if we need to. But as I said earlier, one thing we don't want is to have like a citizen to have to sit and wait for a gate to open. That's not friendly. That's not what we're after. But having a sliding gate with very, very little mechanism involved allows us to achieve our objective of security without having that fortress or that compound kind of feel to it.
Right. And I was not speaking to it being electronic to keep it closed at any moment. I was just saying overall, if you did have to close it.
Sure. If we have a gathering of people, our officers, our staff on site, we're going to know it instantly. We have video cameras all over the place. Our 911 dispatchers downstairs, they monitor those cameras. So in the event that we have a gathering, it'll be known instantly. We can get officers out there, we can close the gates, and then we can escort people off the lot if it ever comes to that, which I hope it doesn't, but I want to be prepared if it does.
Okay.
That's not different than any of the other, like ITD. I know a lot of their district offices have fencing around it, so it's not uncommon to have that kind of added security.
That's correct. What's a little uncommon, for example, if you look at the FBI headquarters, the Indianapolis branch of the FBI up in Castleton, theirs is a very intimidating wrought iron fence that's rounded at the top, and it does very much look like look like you're not welcome here. As you know, and they're a different organization altogether, of course. For example, with ours, the fencing that runs along Post Road will not have barbed wire along the top of it, as an example of something we've done to minimize the intimidating look to a big fence. And I say big is 6 feet tall, but so that's something else that we've done. So I hope that helps.
Has there been any kind of vandalism since it's opened?
So we haven't had any incidents of vandalism. We have had many cases of individuals who are unidentified who have come onto our lot, and we've seen them physically and we've seen them on video using their cell phones to videotape our property. They have been as brazen as to walk up into the mulch on the front of the property and film what's inside our offices, inside the glass front. So, and they've also videotaped police car license plates. So we know there's people that are kind of probing us, and we don't know what their intention is. The same group of individuals has been spotted on IMPD properties and the Cumberland PD headquarters down on Washington Street, or off of Washington Street. So again, it just makes good sense that we would fortify our building a little bit while still maintaining a public, citizen-friendly kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, well, it's better to be prepared than the alternative.
Sure.
Yeah.
Other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the Lawrence Police Department perimeter fence addition?
Motion to approve the perimeter fence addition.
By Ms. Browner.
I'm going to interject. This is Ashley. You're going to want to make sure that your motion includes the specific contractor or vendor to whom the quote is to be awarded. So that would be Capital City Fence in this motion.
Do we need to put most responsive in that wording versus?
No, I don't think so. Not in this instance.
Okay.
Okay, on the approval then, let's back up. And is there a motion to approve, which is on the table, the Lawrence Police Department perimeter fence addition awarded to Capital City Fence?
Motion to approve the Capital City Fence agreement.
By Mrs. Browner. Is there a second?
I second.
By Mr. Clark. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote, Renee?
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner,
Aye.
Mark Clark.
Aye.
And the motion carries 3-0. So we'll look forward to that fence being started as soon as possible. Chief, thank you.
Thank you very much. That'll be about 4 weeks, by the way, is when they're booking.
All righty.
Installation.
Very good. Item B is still, we're with the police department here. We have the chief approval of the renewal of the Lawrence Police Department body worn camera contract. And we have questions concerning this, or the floor is open for questions. I just had one, and I'm assuming that this has been a solid contract in the past and that we're having good success with it. We just really haven't heard an update on it.
Yeah, so since launching our body-worn camera project almost 5 years ago now, we have had countless examples of where it has proven to be a magnificent investment. It has shown that our officers are out there doing great work under very difficult circumstances. Here's a fact that I hope to be able to continue to say time and time again, although I know that's probably not going to be the case, but we have not had one sustained citizen complaint one complaint that we were able to go to the video and find out that the officers handled themselves unprofessionally or inappropriately or with misconduct or anything like that. And on the other side of that statement, we have had numerous examples of our officers being exonerated by body-worn video. I could go on and on about the benefits of body-worn cameras, but I won't, because I think you all know what they are at this point. But this contract that is before you will basically, it will renew our service with a company called Utility by Body-Worn out of Atlanta. They have met and exceeded all of our expectations for providing body-worn camera and in-car camera systems, and we just couldn't be happier with them. So this contract renewal in front of you is a 5-year. It goes from October 1st of this year until 5 years down the road to 2026. So that's what we're looking for. We're also in this contract, you'll notice we're expanding our cameras to allow for 4 additional cameras that can be kept here in the police station for our reserve officers to check out, essentially like you would a book at a library. They can check out a camera and put it on their uniform and go to work, and they can record all their interactions with the public, just like our full-time officers do. So there is an increase to the contract in addition to a modest increase just because of the cost of service increasing. But we are expanding by 4 cameras so that our reserve officers can have the same benefits of body-worn cameras like our full-time guys do. As you know, our reserve officers, the ones that work the road, do so at about a quarter of the amount of time that full-time officers do. They work 32 hours a month. So we really couldn't justify giving them their own specifically assigned camera just for each individual officer. But this manner of being able to go down to communications, check out a camera, put it on, wear it for your shift, and at the end of the shift you return it, and all the video is uploaded and saved and every classified, just like the full-time officers are. It's just on a part-time basis. So that's another part of that contract too that's noteworthy.
Thank you for those updates. Are there questions for the board, from the board?
So, Chief Hoffman, do these automatically turn on the cameras?
They're activated in many different ways, whether it be from the officer turning on their overhead red and blue police lights on their cars, the cameras automatically come on. If an officer is dispatched on a run, that's automatically, it's called CAD activation. So as soon as they're sent on a run in the computer, the camera comes on. If they start running, the camera comes on. If their vehicles go faster than 80 miles an hour, the cameras automatically come on. If they're in the prone position for more than 10 seconds, the cameras automatically come on. It's called an officer down alert, which alerts the 911 center that an officer is in the prone position and not responding. If a officer draws his or her weapon from their holster, the camera comes on. So there's a variety of automatic triggers, and of course the one that's human based is the officer can wear. You could either activate the camera physically by touching the camera itself, or there is a Bluetooth connected kind of like a wristband. It's like a watch. They wear it on their wristbands or their gun belts, and it has a variety of buttons, kind of like the old Simon game, the electronic game Simon. It's got several buttons on top that, and one of them activates the recording, and then another one will turn the recording off. Another one gives like battery life, and each button controls a different thing. So there's lots of different ways that the cameras can be activated.
Okay, well, thank you. No, congratulations to the Lawrence Police Department, because you were one of the first in the country to grab onto this technology, so.
That's true. We were the first in Indiana, and to date, there are 40 other law enforcement agencies in the state of Indiana that have the exact same system that we went with great success. So we're proud of that, and special thanks to Controller Fenwick for making this happen. The increase in the contract was not budgeted, and he obviously understood the importance of this and was able to make this happen for us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. And
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, is there an approval for the renewal of the Lawrence Police Department body-worn camera contract?
I motion to approve.
By Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Browner. Are there questions concerning the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote.
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner,
Aye.
and Mark Clark.
I approve.
And the motion carries 3-0 for that approval. Item B for the body-worn camera contract. Item C, Police Department's busy today. Approval of the Lawrence Police Department and Flock Safety Customer Agreement for the automatic license plate detection. And the floor is open for questions or comment.
Chief Bigsby is our point person on this, so he's here prepared to discuss anything that has to do with the Flock camera system.
And the floor is yours, Chief Bigsby, if you'd like to make some comments.
Yeah, how's everyone doing? Sorry about the late addition to your agenda for the Flock camera system, but we feel it's very important. This will help our investigators with access to at least 2 cameras in the city of Lawrence that are license plate recognition cameras. It's a bigger scale just between the 2 that we're getting. Indianapolis has, I believe, 30 license plate recognition cameras throughout the city of Indianapolis, and they're projected to get another 100. So what this does is, so if our investigators are actually looking at a particular crime that's happening in an area, they can look and put into the system within Flock like a vehicle description. And so it will bring up those vehicle descriptions so that the officers can see, hey, did they travel this direction? Did they travel that direction? And we're able to get that information through the BMV. So we can get lead information for investigations, just in case, like if there's a theft, if there's a homicide, or any case like that. So this is a very good system. It's taking off fairly well within, not only in Marion County, but it also is in Hamilton County, Hendricks County, all of the pretty much donut counties and throughout the United States. And so it actually gives us access to their cameras as well by us joining to the system. So if anyone has any questions, I know Chief Woodruff's on here as well, but that's what we're looking at, trying to get a couple cameras at least to get started so we can potentially add some additional in the future.
Yeah, and I apologize because I did not see that late addition. So is it reading the license plates so that you can see, is that what it's doing?
Yes, it captures the license plate number. So for instance, like I said, if we have like a theft, I just put it in general. If we have a theft or something like that occur and say, hey, it's a blue Buick, you know, they might have a partial plate number. If the license plate camera that we have picks that information up, and we're actually able to see, you know, vehicles matching that description as lead information for investigators so they can put that out there and try to get suspect information off of the cameras that they will read off the license plate recognition software.
So there's cameras out there that we don't know about?
Yes, Indianapolis has a few of them. I know that just recently Noblesville just came on, as well as a lot of the agencies up in Hamilton County, Hendricks County, and Hancock County. So, but the great thing about it is that we will have access to not only our cameras, you know, the 2 that we're getting right now, but we will also have access to their cameras as well.
Oh, well, that makes me feel safer. So that's great.
Right.
These cameras also will pick up vehicles that have been reported stolen. So if a stolen vehicle passes through the footprint of the camera's view, it will automatically notify our 911 center that a vehicle that has been reported stolen, a red Buick, has been seen northbound on Franklin Road or wherever we have our camera set up, and it allows our officers to hone in. Also, if there's a major violent crime where maybe we don't have a suspect, but we've got a vehicle and a license plate identified, detectives can enter that information, and then same thing. Vehicles can be identified, their location, their direction of travel, an actual photograph of the vehicle itself is taken, and it's an amazing investigative tool. So if we're looking for somebody wanted in a homicide, for example, here in Lawrence, and they drive through Indianapolis, we'll be able to know instantly where they were, or if they're in Noblesville, or Curtis, can you even, I mean, all the agencies that participate have the same database. So if we have somebody, one of our residents, maybe a suspect in a crime that's in Chicago, if they have the flock system, which I believe they do, we can get notified of their whereabouts. It's really astounding.
Yeah, if I were a criminal, I'd be worried. So,
Right.
no, great to hear. That's exciting.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the Lawrence Police Department and Flock Safety Customer Agreement for the automatic license plate detection system?
I motion to approve.
By Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Browner. Questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor by roll call vote?
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner,
Aye.
Mark Clark.
I approve.
And the motion carries for the approval on item C, 3-0. Thank you. Moving then to item D, our last item on the agenda today, approval of the second amendment to Facilities Maintenance Service Agreement between the City of Lawrence, Indiana and Envoy Construction Services, LLC. Okay, we have that before us. Are there questions?
Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, good. Like Curtis, I'll apologize for the late addition to the agenda. That was my fault. I just forgot to get it in on time. But rather simply, this is just a second amendment to an existing contract. The first amendment was when we added the new LPD building to the list of facilities that are getting serviced maintenance-wise by Envoy. So this second amendment, what that is doing is making some clarifications due to some recent changes. So the changes mainly are that the City of Lawrence Fire Department decided they wanted to opt out of the program. And so 4 stations, 36, 37, 39, and 40, were dropped out of the list of facilities being maintained. And so now those buildings, they're going to be maintained strictly by the fire department personnel. They'll have to take care of arranging their own contractors, whatnot. That will be on them. So we're adding the Craig Herbert Memorial Indoor Shooting Range. Originally, that was bundled with Station 40. And so because we still want that building to be maintained and it's old enough, it needs some routine maintenance services, we're going to add that into the list of facilities while the 4 fire stations themselves come off the list. Then the other addition that we're doing is we are going to now at the Craig Herbert Memorial Shooting Range, the Government Center, and the Police Department buildings, each one of those facilities now will get a monthly walkthrough inspection, which was not being done. And so before we were just waiting on people to put in tickets, if they happen to see something wrong. I think it's time now for us to move up a little bit in our the way we handle these things and actually have our contractor be more proactive and actually get in the facilities and look for problems that might be starting off and catch them while they're still small instead of waiting until they become a big problem.
Okay.
While we have added some costs, especially for the monthly preventative maintenance walkthroughs, those are $50 each, or $50 an hour each. I don't expect there'll be more than an hour at each building to walk through and look at stuff. But then you're also dropping the admin fees for the 4 fire stations.
So what was the rationale for the fire departments to maintain their own? I mean, is there going to be a monitor of cost versus someone else?
Well, I think their main objection was that when the Envoy personnel come out, there is a fee for them to come out, and then so that for them it was just the additional cost. They just felt that they didn't need to pay that, and didn't want to pay that. And although I disagree quite respectfully, I think in the long run they're going to find out that it makes sense to they're adding more work on themselves, basically, is what it boils down to, in my opinion.
Well, who's going to monitor who they contact for maintenance? Is there going to be a checks and balances there to make sure that,
well, they will have to budget maintenance dollars in their budget and make sure they spend appropriately.
Okay. Other questions concerning this amendment? And I would have to actually, if I may ask, do we need to recognize any of these items in this, or can we just handle this as an approval as it's stated?
You mean approval of the second amendment to facilities?
Yeah, can we just leave it that way, or do we have to list the fact that the fire department's exempting themselves and all these things? Or
no, I think you can just approve it the way it's listed, because it is listed as, and it's titled as a second amendment to the facilities maintenance services agreement. So you can just move to approve the second amendment, because it actually has all the information contained within the whole document, which is labeled as a second amendment.
okay, just wanted to be clear on that, and I appreciate that. Any other questions? Not, I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the second amendment to the facility maintenance service between the City of Lawrence, Indiana Envoy Construction Services, LLC.
Motion to approve the second amendment.
By Mrs. Browner. Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
By Mr. Clark. Thank you. All those, are there questions on the motion? First of all, hearing none, by roll call vote.
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner,
Aye.
Mark Clark.
Aye.
And the motion carries 3-0, so item D then is approved by the board. We now are coming to the part for comments of administration. If we have any administrators online or administration that would like to make any comments at this time.
I'd just like to make one comment, seeing how this is Ashley's last Board of Works meeting, that I would like to thank her for not only her service to the Board of Works, but to the service of the city. And for those who don't know, Ashley is expecting her first child, and she is highly soliciting creative baby names. So anybody that wants to reach out.
Thank you very much. I think.
If it's a girl, do not call her Raymond Douglas.
Well, it is a girl.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Doug, but we will still take that under advisement.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Very good. Well, congratulations. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So this is Sri. I have something to add to some comments. So just starting like 2 weeks ago, we started rolling out the online permitting and online registration. So the people have been applying for permits and paying for permits online. We have redesigned our DPW website And when you get some free time, check it out. It's pretty good. Everything is organized, and they can go in there, apply for permits, and then when it's ready for payment, they can go in there and make their payments. A lot of the people have been doing that. We had some glitches in the beginning, but we almost fixed all of that. So that reduced the number of people calling us or emailing us permits now.
Very good. Thank you for that update, for sure. Any other comments of administration? Well, we'll move to citizens' comments since we had citizens with us last week, our last meeting. Any citizens online, Renee?
Sorry, I muted. No, we don't have any citizens, and I just checked email, and we don't have any comments via email either, sir.
Very good. Again, Renee, thank you for your allegiance to the board all these years, and we appreciate it. We know you'll still be behind the scenes.
I'll still be around.
You bet.
Yes, we all enjoyed working with you.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Look forward to working with Kathleen.
Yep.
I look forward to it also. Thank you. I'm excited.
Well, good. All right, this time I'll entertain an adjournment for the board.
Before you adjourn, I had one quick question. Do we need to do anything regarding the electronic signature procedure?
Not today. We'll need to draft the actual procedure or policy to adopt. So that's something that we will be working on, and whoever my replacement is, I'll make sure they know that as well.
Thank you.
I guess the question, before we adjourn, if Renee and Catherine would let all the board members know if there are items that still need to be signed, or these items that have been approved today, if they need to be signed, if we can do so tomorrow or.
Yep. You guys can come in at your convenience. We'll have them ready, let's say after 9 o'clock tomorrow, okay?
Is there anything?
I'm sorry, Mark, you cut out.
Is there anything to sign? Or is that just
Yeah, all these agreements and minutes, and I'll have to look at them. I'll send you guys each an email in the morning on who needs to come and what needs to be signed, okay?
That'll work.
All right.
Thank you. All right, I will back up now. And if there are any other comments from the board before we adjourn? Okay, the adjournment, I'll call for adjournment. A motion?
motion to adjourn?
By Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.